In this video, I'm going to show you how to create inputs. So right now, I have a whole bunch of different color buttons and a whole bunch of different size buttons, and they let me set, 15 blue or whatever, which is pretty cool. But it'd be a lot nicer if I could just enter the size itself. So to do this, we're going to have to learn how to create an HTML input. So we're going to start by just looking at our controls thing here, where I gave you this control box and then this function to make a button. And I'm going to make a very similar function called make an input. Inputs actually don't, well, I'll have it actually take a type because that is a thing. And so far this looks almost identical, like make button, make input. Name, here it's got, oh actually type is, well, yeah, type, string. I think type is a special word, I better call it input type. And then where this one creates a button with this document, I'm going to say let input equal document create element input. And then I'm going to set the attribute type to my input type. Oops, input type. And then I'm going to append my input to the control box, and finally I will return the input. Oops, I forgot a parentheses. All right, I think this is going to work. Let's see. So I've got a make input like the make button. And now I'm going to come to my settings. I'm going to have to import my new make input function. First, let's just see if it works. I'm going to try a make input. There's a bunch of input types. I'm going to try a range input first. Perfect. The range input looks like that. There is a color input, which looks like that. That's very handy. There's a string input. It just looks like that. There's a number input, which gives you little counters. So we've got a bunch of different options. So let's start with the color. So we'll say let color equals make input color. Oops, I shouldn't call that. I'll call that color input. Make input color. And then inputs, much like buttons, have events. So we're going to listen for what's called the change event, which is like when the input is officially changed. And the color input has a value, which is very handy. So that's going to be the value of the color they chose. So now I can just say CTX stroke tile equals color input value. So at this point, if they change this color, it's now going to change the color they're drawing with. So that's a very simple way to get a color input. And I can do the same thing with a make input number and size input add event listener change CTX line width equals size input value. Oh, I'm getting a complaint here because this is supposed to be a number and the value is always a string. So there's a special value as number property, which will give me the value as a number. So if I were to set it to 30, I get 30. set it to 18, I get 18. And actually I find editing numbers is a little funny. So I might actually, instead of number, choose a range. And I'm not sure, I think the range defaults to like maybe 1 to 100. It's pretty good. Those are properties, so you can do a size input, set attribute, max, size input, set attribute, min, which will let you choose what the size is. So like, let's say I want it only to be 33. I will yeah, now 33 is the biggest. I guess the last thing, you can set the value of the input when you start. So it'd be good to make the value whatever it defaults to so that it's accurate. Like when I draw a circle, it's 1, and now it's 33, and now it's somewhere in the middle. So now I have a game with 2 inputs, one for color and one for text. So that now gives you a lot of possibilities.